Hello, Dr. Gebhardt.
And there's the next one.
Excuse me?
You want something else from me, don't you?
I'm afraid I do.
What a first day at work. Well,
What's the result of your examination of the victim?
she's dead.
I didn't make you work all night long, Dr. Gebhardt.
She was shot. Point blank shot. Probably with a pistol. It seems like she was lying in bed. The shot struck her hard. She died immediately.
One shot?
More were unnecessary. And we only heard one shot, no?
And there's just one entrance wound.
Just one.
Have you already removed the bullet?
Did Legrand send you? What is that Frenchman's problem? I already told you. I will get in touch as soon as I have it. That is also what I told the constable, who he kept sending all night long, once I finally got rid of Legrand himself.
Did he look over your shoulder?
He probably wanted to take the scalpel from my hand and hack away himself. But this is my surgery, and I will not let amateurs interfere with my work.
That's understandable. How much longer will it take?
Ugh. I have just finished. Send my regards to His Majesty.
Thanks. I am told that I was drugged.
That's how it seems.
What can you tell me about it?
Me? Why should that be my business?
Haven't you analyzed the glass?
No, I haven't. The inspector said he's the better chemist. I let him do it. That way I could at least concentrate on the body.
Do you think the Baroness might have been drugged? She was very tired and unsteady when Legrand and I saw her.
Yeah, I heard about that. I must have just missed her in the saloon. And without having seen her myself, it is hard to make a diagnosis.
Of course. Can you say something about her general health?
She was quite overweight, and the butler said that she suffered from diabetes. Despite that, she hadn't visited a doctor for several years.
Doesn't sound good.
Happens more frequently than you might suppose. Some people are scared of doctors and pay with an early death. It is possible that the Baroness wouldn't have lived much longer anyway.
Do you know whose glass I drank from?
What do you mean?
Captain de Conti handed me a glass of champagne. But where did he get it?
I don't know. Did you ask him?
I'm just asking because you were also in the saloon when the champagne was served.
Yes, but I only entered the saloon a few seconds before you did. I didn't manage to get a drink myself.
Which, in retrospect, is lucky.
Ah, you're right about that.
I think that's it for now.
No. That is it for now, then, and later. I'm going to lie down for a few hours.
Ah, Zellner, are you ready?
Good morning, Inspector Legrand. My head is pounding, but I think I'm okay.
Chloral hydrate.
Hmm?
That's why you have a headache. I found traces of it in your champagne glass.
What have you found out so far?
The Baroness was shot in the chest at close range. We heard the shot. The murderer quickly fled the cabin and dropped the murder weapon over the railing later. A simple story so far.
But why was her cabin door locked?
Exactly. If the murderer wanted to make it seem like a suicide, he'd have shot her in the head and left the gun at the crime scene.
And if it was murder, why did he go to all the trouble of locking the door from inside? And how did he manage that anyway?
Especially since we arrived just a few seconds later and didn't see anyone near the cabin.
Something doesn't make sense here.
No, it doesn't, and it's driving me crazy.
Did you find the murder weapon?
On the gangway on the side of the ship. I suspect the murderer tried to drop it into the sea. He would have stood close to the railing to let it fall unseen.
And since he doesn't know the ship, he had bad luck and dropped it right onto the gangway.
Indeed. And do you find that probable?
Not a bit.
Neither do I.
What kind of a gun is it?
A pistol, a Luger 08.
Antique.
Manufactured 1,000,000 times during and after the First World War. Austrian model. The owner is David Kreutzer, the violinist. We found him tonight totally drunk on the bow of the ship. He confirmed that it's his gun, but he claims that it was stolen from him.
Fingerprints?
Nothing. But it's worth mentioning that the clip was missing 2 bullets.
And it's definitely the murder weapon.
The ballistic tests are incomplete. Actually, I've been waiting far too long for the bullet recovered from the corpse. Pay the good doctor a visit, Zellner, and see that he does his job.
About the bullet, here it is.
Excellent. Give it to me. As I suspected, a 7.65 Parabellum Luger.
Don't you want to examine it in more detail?
When I have time. For now, though, we can assume that we have the murder weapon. There can't be too many antique Luger 08 pistols on board.
May I take a look at the Baroness's cabin?
We already searched it thoroughly.
Sure. But what about now, by daylight?
Yes, fine, it can't hurt. Here, take this with you.
I like his extra short tie.
Thanks. I'll let you
Elon
know
Musk
if I
looking
find
ass
anything
tie.
important.
But only then, please. I'm very busy.
Of course. Do you believe the violinist?
He'll be the first person I question. He claims he can't remember anything from the last few hours. Says he drank a bottle of schnapps.
He was on the train and he doesn't have an alibi. His drunkenness could be a smokescreen.
He fits the profile. He travels a lot, has access to high society. Could be interesting.
And this chloral hydrate?
Is a tranquilizer. Can be dissolved in alcohol. The effect begins in minutes and lasts for hours. Who gave you the glass of champagne?
I believe it was Captain De Conti.
If believing were enough for us, we'd have become priests, Constable. Be a policeman and find out for sure.
Understood.
I like that joke about the priests.
You think that the jewel thief is the murderer?
Our friend would have needed another key to open the safe and steal the second eye, the one the Baroness was carrying. At least, that's what we implied.
What do you mean?
The Baroness was famous for her forgetfulness. I convinced her to give me the third key. It seems safer for the eye.
The thief searches the Baroness's cabin looking for the third key.
She returns from the saloon earlier than expected.
Surprises him, and he can't allow her to identify him.
He imprisons her until the coast is clear, and then shoots her.
And thus, the thief becomes a murderer.
But still doesn't have all the keys.
Are you sure that there's no bomb inside this time?
Professor Lucien locked it in front of an audience, and it will be opened for the first time in Cairo.
Let's hope so.
It would take hours to crack it, and you'd need heavy machinery.
Or the keys.
Or the 3 keys, that's right.
Do you really think that the Raven is behind all this?
He wrote the letter that was on the safe in the train. Without the letter, we wouldn't have opened the safe and the bomb wouldn't have exploded.
But it doesn't seem like him, does it? The Raven was famous in part because he never hurt anyone, much less killed anyone, during a burglary.
It's his handwriting, and he called me Nico. No one else does that. I chased that man across Europe for years. It is him. It has to be him.
But the evidence...
Enough.
I'll be on my way. I want to find out who gave me the drugged champagne.
Good idea.
Inspector Legrand, are you okay? Maybe you should take a break.
I can sleep once I've caught the Raven. Goodbye, Constable.
Be seeing you. This is the first murder scene I've ever set foot in. There should be a ventilation shaft behind the hatch. Usually a good way to break in and out undetected. But we're on a ship. The ventilation shafts are very small here. I can't say why, and it seems impossible, but something tells me that the murderer entered and left the cabin through the door. The only question is how. Somehow... That's odd. The blood is so red. Shouldn't it gradually darken in the air? Turn brown? The unusual color of the blood could be something that Legrand and Dr. Gebhardt missed last night. All cats are gray in the dark, as the saying goes. I should take a sample. The unusual color all... The portholes face the side deck. If someone climbed out of the cabin through a porthole, Legrand and I would have seen them. The portholes are locked. One cannot open or close them from outside. It's the same problem as with the door. If someone left the cabin through the porthole, how did they lock it? And the Baroness wasn't shot from outside. The doctor said she was shot at close range. Apparently, the Baroness didn't have time to unpack her bags. Or rather, didn't have time to tell her butler to unpack them for her. Sifting through all that would take ages. But here, the Baroness's handbag. Aha! A small leather-bound book. 1964 is engraved on it. This must be the Baroness's diary. Let's see. Yes, it's a diary, all right. Difficult to read. No entry from yesterday. A brief, sober description of what she's done recently. Met Morris, arranged benefit concert for renovation of Louvre Southeastern Wing, Times photo shoot for Eye of Sphinx, BM, poor excuse for photographer, too fidgety, and so on. This entry looks strange. The handwriting is shaky, difficult to read. Dreamt of Bobby. Yesterday would have been his birthday. Next week, Jay's. The Baroness was a very busy woman, and it looks like she had to cope with loss. She writes about Bobby and Jay. Neither seem to be alive anymore. Almost every family lost loved ones in the war. Maybe hers as well.
What's that?
Something's under there. Down feathers. Maybe from a quilt or a pillow. Nothing special. Although, It seems like one of the feathers was scorched at the top, literally burnt. I'll take it with me. The unusual color of the blood could be something that Legrand and Dr. Gebhardt missed last night. All cats are gray in the dark, as the saying goes. I should take a sample.
I suppose. Blood hasn't dried yet. That would be very unusual.
I'll leave it there. I don't have time to read all of it. There may be something else in the vase. An impressive piece, but I don't think it'll get me anywhere with the murder investigations.
Oh, this alarm.
Another alarm. It was tripped at some point. The seal is broken, but there's no way of telling whether it happened yesterday or 5 years ago. Sibling brand reel from the tape that came.
Oh, that might be over here.
Cosmetics, a handkerchief, a spectacles case. Nothing special. Sunflowers. By Van Gogh, I presume. He liked to paint that sort of thing. Can't be an original. They cost thousands of francs. Why were the down feathers tossed in the vase? Or is there anything else in there? There may be something.
Could try breaking it.
The door frame was damaged when Dr. Gebhardt kicked it in. The real question is, why was the door locked in the first place? Assuming the murderer isn't a magician, and the Baroness locked the door herself before she went to bed, the murderer couldn't have left the cabin through the door. So, the murderer must have still been in here when Dr. Gebhardt kicked the door in. Which is unlikely because someone would have seen him, or he found another way out of the cabin.
Oh, there's the butler. Come on, the butler did it he can't have been the one to do it, right? There's
The
no way.
Baroness's butler looks like he didn't get much sleep. I would describe his facial expression as worried. Hello, Mr. Inch.
Oh, Constable, hello.
You look the worse for wear. It must be terrible for you.
Quite terrible. No one will hire me now.
Excuse me?
My mistress was murdered. Would you hire a butler who's been mixed up in a murder?
But if it turns out that you're not guilty...
If. But what if not? Who else would they blame? There are no gardeners on this ship.
I understand your problem. Under these circumstances, I'm sure you'd answer some questions that could help clear your name, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Did you notice anything suspicious last night?
No, sir. After the Baroness went to the saloon, I went to the forecastle. I was there until the alarm went off. I went to the side deck and arrived shortly after Professor Lucian and Miss Miller. We found you and Inspector Legrand there. You were unconscious, and the inspector asked us to take care of you.
Did you hear the gunshot?
No, just the alarm, sir.
You said you were on the forecastle. It sounded like the Baroness let you have the rest of the night off.
Not entirely, sir. One of the crew informed me that the Baroness wanted to be roused at 10:15.
Right. Why was that?
I suppose that she wanted to toast the success of the journey with the captain and the other passengers.
She hadn't intended to take a nap then.
That was not her way, sir. She had a lot of spirit, shall we say, when it came to social engagements and a glass or two of champagne.
The Baroness's cabin seems to have been ransacked.
Indeed, sir, by the Baroness herself.
Really?
She was searching for something the entire afternoon.
And did she find it?
I think she did, sir, yes. She was in high spirits when she finally left her cabin.
You wouldn't happen to know what she was looking for, would you?
I'm afraid not.
Would you describe the Baroness as orderly?
Well, she always had a lot of responsibilities, sir.
That doesn't answer my question.
She used to take a lot of luggage on journeys, and I helped her keep track of it as best I could. She was always very angry when she couldn't find something.
What about the photos and the documents I saw in her cabin?
I really don't know. They were out of bounds to me, sir. Memories from the war, I'd say. They meant a lot to her.
The Baroness seemed to be pretty drunk the last time I saw her.
Is that so?
Does that surprise you? Did the Baroness not drink?
Oh, yes, she drank. It was no secret.
I understand. How serious was her habit?
Serious enough, sir.
Was she under any medical supervision?
Certainly not, sir. She adamantly refused to see a doctor. Like so many elderly women, she had a distinct aversion to hospitals and the like.
How long had you worked for the Baroness?
6 months, sir.
Only 6 months. I always thought that butlers stayed with their employers for decades.
Those decades have to start at some point, Constable. Her former butler wasn't able to fulfill his duties any longer. Gout, sir.
I understand.
I took on his duties and hoped for a secure position for the next 20 years.
May I ask what happened to your arm?
A souvenir from the war, sir.
Doesn't it hinder your work?
Yes, sir, obviously.
I didn't mean to offend you.
The Baroness had a soft spot for disabled veterans. I think she'd been through a lot herself.
I think that's all for now.
Please, sir, find the murderer. You have to clear me of all suspicion.
Interesting. It would be unlikely that the butler actually did kill her. Alright. I like this main character, by the way. I don't know what it is about him. He just seems very charming.
Wasn't there something about blood samples? Fingerprints, gunshot residue, blood. Well, it explains how to confirm that something is blood. That's a start. You have to mix luminol and a hydrogen peroxide solution and then drip or spray the mixture on the blood. The solution turns blue and glows even if there's just a very small amount of blood. Okay then, luminol and hydrogen peroxide. Aha, hydrogen peroxide solution. Aha, luminol. Okay, I'm filling the pipette and putting it down very carefully. So, let's see what we have here. No blood. Not the slightest reaction. If I didn't make a mistake, and it wasn't that difficult, then the spot on the Baroness's bed isn't really blood. But if it isn't blood, what is it? And more importantly, why didn't Dr. Gebhardt notice anything? He was supposed to have examined everything. I'd say it's time to
We're
visit
getting
the
somewhere.
medical center.
The blood wasn't blood at all. That's how you know. The game's afoot.
Can we please talk about the mouthfeel?
It seems
Why is no one
impossible
talking
that
about the
Dr.
mouthfeel?
Gebhardt
Wow.
could have shot the Baroness. He was with me when the gunshot ran out. But he must have noticed that the Baroness was lying in a pool of fake blood. Maybe he's covering for someone. Let's find out.
Hi, Cordelia. Thank you for subbing. 11-month subscription. Also, hello, Palace Riot. This is called The Raven. This is a very fun mystery game where we are a detective. Solving murders. But it's not a
It's
horrible
probably for
Halloween.
emergencies, in case a passenger
kind of
falls
game.
down and can't walk anymore. Possibly due to rough seas. Or maybe the captain's well-stocked bar. The sink looks like it's been cleaned recently. I can't say whether it was cleaned to comply with the hygiene regulations or whether there was another reason. Interesting. A tape on a reel. The reel belongs to a much better player, like the one from the Baroness's cabin. I can't be certain that this is the reel that was missing from the Baroness's cabin, but it seems quite likely.
Alright, well, let's listen to the tape then.
Nothing. Strange. There. Very interesting. A shot is audible on the tape, and the reel comes from the Baroness's cabin. It's all coming into focus. I guess the trash bin is in here. Right. Paper towels, plastic packaging, cartons, and... Hold on. What's this? A burst rubber glove. It's knotted, and there's a red liquid all over the inside that looks like blood. I bet good money that it's the same fake blood I found in the Baroness's cabin. Dr. Gebhardt will have trouble explaining how rubber gloves full of fake blood got into his trash bin. First, the fake blood he missed in the Baroness's cabin, and now this. It doesn't look good for you, Doctor. That's proof enough for me that the doctor is involved in this. I should report to Legrand.
Alright, well, the inspector will be told about this.
Time to pay Legrand a visit.
Oh. Doctor.
No, don't.
Well...
Just leave it be.
Let me go.
Why are you doing this to me? You and the Baroness.
Dr. Gebhardt, I don't know.
What is going on?
Don't you understand what you are forcing me to do?
You don't have to.
It is almost over. You won't feel a thing. I am sorry you have to see all this. I should have used more chloroform.
Chloroform. Still partly numb. Can't reach. Can't. Chloroform. Dr. Gebhardt. I have to distract him. And what next?
He's gonna kill us.
Failure happens a lot at your age, especially given your background. I am still considering whether I should throw you overboard. Don't leave evidence. No evidence. But what if I'm seen? My plan was perfect. And then you ruined everything.
Keep talking. Why?
Why did the Baroness have to snoop around? Why did you have to snoop around? And that glove there. You want to plant evidence on me, yeah? I left no evidence. There is no trail. And yet you can't just leave me in peace, can you?
A pair of scissors.
Oh yeah.
Take it easy, Mr. Zellner. You will only hurt yourself. Shall we begin? It's almost over.
Oh my god. We jabbed him with the needle. And then we faint. I don't even know how we Survived.
Thanks.
Ewetao works miracles. I told you so.
Out with it then. What were you doing down there?
Inspector, at least let the constable recover his breath.
He almost killed himself.
Me? No. Dr. Gebhardt would have taken care of that for me. Where is he?
Gebhardt? He's vanished without a trace. We're searching the ship from top to bottom.
One at a time. Tell me, Zellner, what did you find out?
Dr. Gebhardt killed Baroness von Trebitz.
Impossible.
Do you have proof?
Besides the fact that he wanted to kill me?
But wasn't the doctor with you when the shot was fired?
The shot that we heard was a recording. The Baroness had a tape recorder and good speakers in her cabin. Good enough to make the noise audible on the upper deck.
Is that just your suspicion, or do you have proof?
There's an audio tape in the medical center. The reel belongs to the tape player in the Baroness's cabin. And there's a sibling reel in her cabin that belongs to the recorder in the medical center. He recorded it in the cargo hold. His tape recorder has a microphone, and I removed a bullet from one of the boxes down there.
And it came from the murder weapon?
All right.
Look at this shuffly British weirdo. What is that, a telegram?
Let's pretend you're onto something. The shot we heard was just a recording. What happened next?
We all ran to the Baroness's cabin. She lay comatose in a pool of blood. Dr. Gebhardt pushed past you so that you couldn't get too close to the Baroness. He examined her and pronounced her dead. There was no reason for us to doubt him. The shot, the blood, the Baroness lying there lifelessly. But she was only unconscious, knocked out by the chloral hydrate that the doctor had poured into her glass shortly before.
The doctor had a glass in his hand when you came in.
He wanted to remove the evidence, but you gave me the glass instead, Captain DeConti, and unintentionally knocked me out as well.
Nonsense. There was blood everywhere. And the Baroness is certainly dead enough, isn't she?
Then who did shoot her? And when?
She wasn't shot. She was poisoned.
And yet I saw the hole in her chest with my own eyes.
Aha!
She must have been shot.
Well, ingenious. Where was she shot?
The doctor in the medical facility, or the doctor in the cabin? It's gotta be in
Then
the
it
cabin.
was the doctor, of course. He shot the sleeping Baroness in her cabin, barely 10 meters away from us.
What are you saying?
The doctor was alone in the cabin for a while. When the alarm went off, it was deafening. I couldn't even hear myself.
And I found a pillow with burn marks. Could have been used to muffle a gunshot.
And the blood?
The blood wasn't real. Dr. Gebhardt mixed up a liquid that looked like fresh blood to the casual observer, but the liquid remained red instead of becoming darker and browner from exposure to the air. That meant he had to clean the body and get rid of the bedding.
But the blood was already there when we first entered the cabin.
Dr. Gebhardt was in the Baroness's cabin before the murder. He hid a surgical glove full of the red liquid under her sheet. The Baroness, dead tired, fell onto her bed. The glove burst and the blood spread across the bed. I found the burst glove in the medical center.
But why did he do it? What was his motive?
Inspector?
We solved quite a bit of this mystery. She blackmailed the doctor or Eye of the Sphinx. No, it seems unrelated.
I can only speculate. The Baroness spent the day rummaging through her old family photos.
No.
Do you have anything to contribute, Constable?
Confession, sir. Dr. Gebhardt was the Raven. It's all here. He admits to everything.
What does it say?
It says, "Do you still remember, my dear Nico? The streets were wet with rain, and the scent of roasted barley and fermenting yeast wafted over to us from the brewery. A dog barked until your shot struck down the innocent one. After that silence, not a single sound except for my soft steps fading on the wet cobblestone street. They made a hero of you, and I, at last, found peace. At least until the urge returned. Some of us are not made for retirement, my friend. I thought they would assign this case to you, and that thought pleased me. We'd finally find out who was truly the better man. And it pains me now to have to admit that you and your little gumshoe got the better of me. You drove me into a corner, forced me to make mistakes. I congratulate you on your triumph, but no one will confine the raven to a cage. There is but one way out, and that is by my own hand. Farewell, Raven Hunter R.
Several daggers in a row. The shapes and patterns look timeless, elegant.
Man, I bet an Egyptian museum would have all sorts of cool stuff.
This is Akhenaten, the only pharaoh whose portrait I always recognize. He has a very unusual head. Impressive, isn't it? Thousands of years old and still beautiful.
That it is. They dug it out of the sand near Thebes over 50 years ago. I was there.
Really?
I met my husband there. He was an assistant on the dig and was ordered by the director of the excavation to take care of that writer. I financed many excavations in the following years, here in Egypt and in the Near East. I visited my husband, together with our son. It was the best time of my life. But a museum is no place for nostalgia. What can I do for you?
You've had a long and successful life, Lady Westmacott.
What's that supposed to mean, Mr. Zellner? That I should be ready to leave the stage? Because I'm not.
Oh, I didn't want...
I'm here because life is here, Constable. Or was. I have never lived as much as I have here. No fame, no money can buy that.
I understand.
I'm sorry, Constable Zellner. Such an outburst isn't fitting for a woman of my age, and an English woman at that. Let's talk about something else.
Your son. You haven't said much about him. Or perhaps you did, just not by name.
You're an attentive listener, Mr. Zellner.
I was wondering why you knew so much about Miss Miller's unhappy marriage.
I stopped paying his bar tabs, stopped paying reporters to hush things up. He got to know her and went with her to America to start a new life. You can change your name easily, but not who you really are.
Oh.
He has my eyes, doesn't he?
The Part 2 novel is for him, isn't it?
If I couldn't provide Matthew with a good father, then at least I can provide him with a good start in life.
When I was working on the ship, I felt like one of the detectives in your novels.
You were lucky. It was an unusual murder. Most murders happen in the heat of the moment or are committed by idiots. They're uninspired. But Gebhardt thought it through. He could have succeeded.
I don't know. He made too many mistakes.
He couldn't have known that the Baroness, almost unconscious from the drugs, would lock her cabin door.
But that was a risk. The plan was too complicated and sloppily executed.
You certainly are a harsh critic, Mr. Zellner.
He could have shot her on the side deck and thrown the weapon into the sea. With no witnesses, no one would have suspected him.
How boring.
Or if it had to be a complicated plan, then he should have worked more carefully. Should have thought of everything, had a plan B in place.
Maybe he didn't have enough time. He had only a few hours to plan and commit the murder.
Still, he should have covered his tracks more carefully. The audio tape, The bloody glove? None of that should have stayed in the medical center.
Yeah, why not throw that stuff overboard? I mean, I'm not in favor of littering, but if it's that or life in prison...
Do you think that Dr. Gebhardt was the Raven?
Was? Do you think he's dead?
The letter sounded like he committed suicide.
There's your answer. Does that sound like the Raven? Being unmasked? Taking the easy way out?
My sentiments exactly. The Raven wouldn't commit murder, get caught, and then jump into the sea.
You don't want everything to be over, do you?
It's my chance to do something great. It can't be over yet.
At least you solved the murder of the Baroness. You're a hero.
That's not how the newspapers see it. Nor I. Something's missing. I can achieve more.
Careful, Constable. He who flies too close to the sun...
Is that the myth of Icarus?
To be honest, no. The story is Greek, and was only written down 1,000 years later. I was counting on the dramatic effect.
Oh, worked well enough. Let's assume that the thief is still out there. Who is he?
If all this were a novel, then it would be the one you least expect.
Is that intended to be a confession, Lady Westmacott?
What do we know about the new Raven?
He's a man who would stop at nothing.
Must it be a man? And how do we know that it's just one person? There could be several people collectively pretending to be the Raven.
So, we don't know anything.
That's not completely true. We know that he or she wants the Eye of the Sphinx, and will probably strike here, assuming he or she hasn't already gone.
It may be the end of the story for me, Lady Westmacott. Inspector Legrand will arrive soon and send me to the hotel. I'll return tonight for the gala, hoping all the while that the Raven does dare to attempt a burglary. Tomorrow morning, I'll have to return to Switzerland. What an unsatisfactory ending that would be.
It wouldn't be a triumphant ending, but it could be worse. At least you'd still be alive, Constable.
Will you attend
You know,
the gala
she's got a
tonight,
point.
Lady Westmacott?
But of course, the antiquities, the delightful atmosphere, and who knows, perhaps there will be another spectacular burglary.
And your cruise?
The ship doesn't leave until tomorrow, and believe me, I'd cancel the cruise for this.
As always, it was an entertaining and enlightening chat, Lady Westmacott.
I'm going to miss our little chats, Constable Zellner. Goodbye.
As are we.
Next, I'll show you our guard room, the heart of the whole security system. And after that, I'll have to excuse myself.
Alert the guards. Then call the French embassy. Legrand needs to come. We're being locked out.
Yeah. Can you get in? Whoa.
Here, have a seat and try to calm down. Director Mohta? Director, how can I open the metal gate?
He shouldn't have done that.
Director,
All the artifacts in the treasure chamber. He destroyed them.
and I will bring him to justice. But first, I have to get inside. He's pale and shaking, probably in shock. Perhaps I'll get something out of him in a couple of minutes. Constable Oliver,
Don't move.
what did you do?
I didn't do anything. But I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna arrest you.
Put the pistol away.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I
Robert,
would.
Be sensible.
Shut it.
Sensible Brits.
Is he dead?
Just unconscious. Perhaps he can tell us who knocked him out.
Excellent.
Don't act all innocent. It was you.
I was in the treasure chamber with the director. You, on the other hand, had every opportunity to take the guard out
I found him unconscious. I wanted to open the gates.
and make it easier for the Raven to escape.
That does it. On the floor. Hands behind your head.
Why aren't you in the embassy with Inspector Legrand talking to the press?
What are you talking about? Legrand refused to do it.
What?
He told the ambassador that he'd rather walk through the desert for 40 years than give interviews for 40 minutes.
We have to open the treasure chamber's gate. I suspect there's a secret entrance.
No. We should open the main entrance and call for help.
Robert, think. The Raven is inside the museum, and so are we. We could catch him, but we have to give chase immediately. The two of us can finish it here and now.
You just want to confuse me.
Robert, I don't think you knocked this man out, but neither did I. I was with the director the entire time. Ask him.
That doesn't mean you aren't involved somehow. You could be working with the Raven.
So could you. We can suspect each other, open the exits, and offer the Raven every possible escape route. Or we can bring him to justice right here, right now.
No, okay. But just get this straight. I don't trust you. I'll keep an eye on you, and if you try to get away...
Understood. I'll try to open the gate to the treasure chamber now. I'd appreciate it if you'd refrain from accidentally shooting me.
No tricks, Zelna. And if we don't find anything in the treasure chamber, we'll open the gate at the main entrance and call Inspector Legrand.
Of course.
Right. Okay. Gotta be one of these.
Probably for viewing the security cameras. There are 5 buttons down here, 3 of them labeled. Camera 1, Camera 2, Camera 3. This should be the one in the treasure chamber. As I expected, it didn't survive the explosion. All right, how do I... Fantastic. That's me, with the director. Now it's getting exciting. What on earth?
You damaged it.
No, I didn't. Someone must have turned the camera off. Or... no, it's still recording, but something's covering the lens. There. That was the explosion. Interesting.
Why is it interesting?
Someone was in the treasure chamber, and they disabled the camera. And just a few minutes later, the alarm went off and everything blew up. The burglar hardly had time to prepare a targeted explosion, right? One more reason to go and see what happened in the treasure chamber.
Of course, he had to blast a hole in the floor to get the cabinet out of there.
Let's hope that at least some of the artifacts withstood the explosion. Why didn't he just drive through the wall with a tank? Reckless ignoramus. The remains of the cordon. Give me some light. I suppose the camera was hit by a chunk of flying debris. Fortunately, the ceiling is quite high, and the gate was still ajar. Otherwise, nothing in this room would have survived the shockwave. It will take a long time to clean and restore everything, and some things are surely lost forever. That's how the eye left the treasure chamber.
Oh no, no way. We've seen enough. The Raven is gone. We need to get Legrand. Great. You happy now?
You could say that. Will you give me some light? What do you think about this?
That's a right mess.
You can say that again. Would you give me your flashlight?
You can't seriously expect me to say yes?
No, not really. So at least give me a bit of light. This explosion was much more intense than the one in London, wasn't it?
You can say that again. Imagine what would have happened if the bomb had gone off tonight.
He didn't risk it. We must have made him nervous.
He couldn't have chosen a better time. Legrand isn't here. There are only a couple of guards and almost no witnesses.
Still, I would have thought he'd wait. Remember the train? Our opponent has a penchant for drama. He's vain and wants as much publicity as possible.
Even vain people don't want to go to jail.
True enough. It seems like the question of backup has been settled. We can't open the door from the inside.
The director will surely contact Legrand. He'll be outside the door with a full squad in no time.
I wouldn't bet on it. The thief was in the guard room and knocked out the guard. What was he up to there? He didn't disable the alarm. Maybe the phone lines.
Someone will notice the metal shutters on the windows.
Sooner or later, sure. Until they do, we have time to solve the case. Okay then. So what do we do now?
Because I can figure this out.
Sarcophagus from the Old Kingdom. Unknown ruler. Here we go. On the front, you can see the tutelary deities Amset and Happy. At a later date, it became traditional to show all 4 sons of Horus on all 4 sides of the sarcophagus. Each son signified a cardinal direction. Happy, the north, Amset, the south, Quebec-Senuef, the west, and Duamutef, the east. Each son of Horus, Happy is... There are actually 2 of the 4 sons of Horus on the front side of the sarcophagus. A man and a monkey.
Alright, well let's see if we can get the names of all 4 of them over here.
The 4 sons of Horus, Amset, Hapi, Duamutef, and Quebec-Senuef, are children of the god Horus the Elder and the goddess Isis. They are believed to protect canopic jars, which contain the internal organs of people as stellar gods. They are so... Each son of Horus is from the sign beside the sarcophagus. I know that Happy is the north, Amset is the south, Quebec-Senuef is the west.
These are some names.
And Duamutef is the east. Each son of from the sign must be the canopic. Here we have Duamutef, stomach.
Duamutef is the dog.
The sign says Amset, liver.
Amset is the man.
Happy, lungs.
Happy is the monkey.
Quebec-Senuef, intestines.
Quebec-Senuef is the bird.
Here we have...
The D for dog.
Here we have...
E is for dog. I'm using mnemonic devices. All right. Okay, so the Sons of Horus. Happy is the north. That's the monkey. Quebec Senuef. That's the eagle. That's west. Uamutef, dog, east. Amset, south. Quebec Senuef is... okay. He's the eagle, and he's west. Dog is east. Eagle west, dog east, monkey north, man south. Okay. Yes. Quite good. We shall simply... eagle... dog... the man is south. It's the monkey who's up top. Yes? Correct? Oh. Did I get this wrong? No, I think I got it correct. I'm just probably positioning them wrong. Got it. Figured it out. I had to make him face inward. Took me a second.
There we go.
Excellent. Can't call up to the constable. I suppose I'll have to pursue the Raven
He's
alone.
up there, Robert. I know that.
That may be. Go into the guard room and open the gates.
Tell the director.
Zelna, don't do it. It's too dangerous.
You can't stop me. Not anymore. 200 steps at least. And a ladder. I'm too old for this. The chair is the only object that's not covered with dust. It seems like someone sat on it recently. Handcuffs. Not what I expected. Was someone interrogated here? Huh? The Raven, if I'm not mistaken. Why don't you step into the light?
The Grand. It's the professor.
Professor Lucian.
Ah, the professor. He might have made things difficult for me if I'd wanted to steal the second eye on the ship. Wrong, Constable Zellner.
Mr. Inch?
It is astonishing how far you've come.
Oh my God, it was the
Guard
butler.
will be my most dangerous opponent, but it seems I should have had more respect for age.
The bomb on the train. Since when does the Raven risk human lives?
I knew that Legrand would be hot on my heels after the heist in London. He's a dangerous man, Mr. Zellner. He almost caught me once.
Is that a reason to resort to murder?
It wasn't my only reason. An eye for an eye, Constable Zellner.
Wow, I wrongfully suspected the professor. Can't believe it.
What about the murder of the Baroness? Was that also your doing?
The death of the Baroness was never part of the plan. Dr. Gebhardt had a score to settle with her and got in my way.
You didn't care about the key to the safe?
I never wanted to steal the eye out of the safe. I always intended to strike here, in the museum.
What about Gebhardt's confession?
A nice idea, don't you think? It keeps the inspector out of my hair. For a few more hours, at least. Until everything collapses like a house of cards.
Why did you want to steal the second eye here?
The eye was in the bank in Zurich for a long time, impossible to get at. Then the safe on the ship in Legrand's cabin, too complicated. I heard about the secret basement and found out how the security system worked. I would have preferred to save my performance for the gala this evening, but, well, events demanded a change of schedule. Not least because of you, my nosy friend.
How did you do it? How did you plant the message on the safe in the train? How did you know that Gebhardt killed the Baroness? And the demolition charge below the treasure chamber? How did you manage it all? Even if your arm isn't lame.
Oh, it is, believe me. I needed help, it's true. A messenger boy to replace my arms and legs.
A messenger boy?
Ah, Adil. This could be interesting. He's quite talented, but
Hey, he was the stowaway.
He has a mind of his own plans. Don't you, Adil?
I never wanted blood to be shed, but it's time to make an exception.
He only forgot one thing. I keep things firmly in hand. Always. End of story.